welcome to the Guitar Department. I'm your host, Joe Alton. Today, on this episode, we have a really special guest. Seth Jamison will be here, Des Moines area guitar player, all over the place. The dude is awesome. Be sure to check out that interview. Also, in the tone zone, we have the Boss MZ2 Digital Metalizer. This is a really kind of unique pedal. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the Guitar Department. And now it's time for us to enter the tone zone, and today we have the really cool, underrated Boss MZ2 Digital Metalizer. And I want to talk for a minute about this pedal before we get started. This pedal was made initially in 1987, the height of the hairband era, and you're about to hear it too. It sort of fell off the wayside though. Most people didn't buy them. It wasn't the most popular pedal, and it ended up being discontinued, I believe, in 1991. So it only had like a 4-year run. And part of the reason for that is that the 80s were full of rack-mounted rigs that were thousands of dollars, and just the excess involved. You wanted every option at the turn of a dial, and they did a lot of gain staging and a lot of just big rigs. And so putting everything into one pedal, the way this pedal does, wasn't really the popular way to go. But I really like this pedal, and I want to demonstrate why. We're going to start with, here's what the guitar sounds like without any distortion on it. Right, so it's just, today I'm playing off of this beautiful Yamaha. Looks like it is an RSS20. This thing is amazing. I took it from Riemann Music, and it's got a coil split here, or that's actually a mid boost, apparently, is what I'm told. That's pretty cool. And man, just look at this thing. It's gorgeous. It matches my shirt. I love it. Okay, back to the pedal. If I just flip this on and keep it on, I've got the distortion level about at 12 o'clock. And what I noticed about it right away is that it has this sort of, this great like 80s metal sound. It's very sort of Motley Crue, Poison, that sort of sound, just off of the distortion. And that's a type of distortion that you don't usually get without what's called gain staging, which is where you sort of match up your distortion sources so that they stack on top of each other, and you end up with this really thick, almost processed sound. Now, the term digital metalizer is in reference to what happens next on the pedal. The circuit itself for the distortion is analog. So here's what happens if I flip the mode dial. Now we have a doubling effect. So it's got this sort of almost like an echo to it, and it's a type of delay. It's like a slapback delay. Now it's not adjustable. You just flip it to that, and that's the sound you get. But you have 3 different options. Right now we're set on the first one. Here is the second one, and you're going to notice that it's a little bit longer delay. So it's a little bit more noticeable, and you start to get this track, the sense that it's been double tracked. Like you hear these stories about Randy Rhoads, who would record his solos twice, or in the studio sometimes they'll take a single take and just double the track and stack them on top of each other and offset them by just a fraction of a second, and you end up with what sounds like 2 guitars playing the same thing at once. Not quite the type of slapback delay you get from like a Brian Setzer rockabilly setting, but it's still pretty cool. And then we've got one more set of doubling. It's pretty cool sounding. Offers a nice sort of thick, fat, processed sound. And again, today it might be referred to as the analog metalizer because analog is more of the buzzword. But back in 1987, digital was quite the buzzword. So here we have the digital metalizer, and all of these effects are coming from a chip that is inside the pedal. Now, 2 more settings. This one is chorus 1. So we're going to add that little bit of wavy effect you get from the chorus. You can just sort of hear that wavy effect that you get from the chorus. And then our last setting here is a second chorus setting, a little bit heavier on the chorus effect. What I love about this pedal is the ease with which you get this tone. I was playing it at home through my Marshall stacks and it just sounds incredible, but here I am with a Vox AC15 and just the pedal itself, there's no other effects. I've got the tremolo and the reverb turned down on the amplifier, so it's just clean going in, and this thing just sounds straight from the 80s. That 80s, early 90s sound, which is really more useful today than it was back then. Once again, the digital metalizer, our pedal of the week. And I am back, and we are sitting here with Seth Jamison, my guest for today. Seth, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. We have a lot to cover. You have a whole trip to LA that you spent some time out there. You've got all the work you're doing here in Des Moines. You teach at Reman's a few doors down from where I do. I want to start with that guitar though.
Sure.
Tell me about that.
Well, it's a Mexican Roadrunner. I got it in LA about, how old was I? Maybe 22 years old, so maybe about 10 years ago.
Okay.
From a friend of mine who was a great guitar player over there. He was going to the same school, Los Angeles College of Music, and he was selling it. And at the time, I only had a Squire Fender, the same one that I got when I was playing at Reman, which was interesting enough, but I needed an upgrade. And so he was selling this one, and it's awesome. I love it. He played it for a while, so it's definitely been worn down and used, as you could see. But,
yeah, and that's for those of you looking at on camera. This isn't relicking. This is old school.
Yeah,
wear and tear.
Yeah, so it's been played quite a bit, so it's really, really cool. But the cool thing about it is that it already came with a different set of pickups. So it has Michael Landau pickups in the neck and in the middle. And then the bridge pickup, I actually put an AT1 from DiMarzio on there, which is the same humbucker that Andy Timmons uses. And if you guys don't know who Andy Timmons is, please look him up. He's incredible. But I was a huge tone guy, which I still am, but certainly back then I was. And so I wanted to try and get the best tone out of every pickup that I could. And so that's what I did. And so, yeah, but I've been playing this for well over a decade now.
Can you give us a quick lick, maybe a difference between the pickups in there too?
Sure. So if I'm on, let's see, the neck pickup here, it's got like a really nice warm tone, I should say. So
it has a nice little pop to it,
yeah,
too.
It's got a really nice pop to it, and I'm using the RC booster, which we'll get to in a little bit. So if I turn that off and I just do it.
And so that's just the neck pickup through your Blues Junior.
Yep, just the neck through the Blues Junior, and you'll see a difference when you play on other Strats that it's not quite, as you say, as poppy. It doesn't really bring out the tone as clear and as
that clarity
crisp as like these pickups do. So So that's that, and in the middle, this is what it sounds like. So a little bit thinner, but really, really nice. Middle pickup, which is this one here. It's a little bit brighter.
Do you find yourself playing on that middle pickup by itself all that much? I find a lot of Fender players. I'm a Strat guy myself.
Sure.
I don't use the middle pickup for much of anything except to kill some hum sometimes.
For soloing, not as much. If I'm doing like rhythm playing, you know. Stuff like that. I like the sound of that when I'm trying to cut through with a band and not have it too trebly or too dark, you know.
Keep those mids going, yeah. Okay.
So I do use it quite a bit for that. Not so much for soloing, though.
And what about the bridge pickup here?
So, bridge pickup is when it gets really nice and really nice and clear, and you can hear every note, even though it's big. Where sometimes some humbuckers will get a little bit muddy. Well,
Yeah.
This one, every note is nice and clear. Every note is really pronounced, and so, and that kind of, you know, when you listen to Andy, you'll hear his tone come out of something like this, and it's really nice. So.
That's awesome. That all
Yeah.
sounds amazing. And of course, for right now, you're just using a couple of exotic pedals here. It's the company exotic, by the way. Not that they're all that rare or anything, but you got the BB preamp and the RC booster.
Yep.
And you were saying your normal board that you use for gigging has a little bit more to it, but that these are your favorites.
Yeah, these are my favorite ones. Mainly if we can just start with the BB here. This is another one pedal that Andy Timmons uses a lot. That you can tell I'm a big Andy Timmons fan.
Yeah.
So, but another big thing with this, clear, really crisp. So no matter how much I crank the gain, I can even crank it all the way to 10, same thing. It doesn't get muddy. You can still hear every note, and I love that. I had such issues with different other overdrive pedals, which, for instance, like the OCD. Love the OCD pedal. It sounds really, really great, but
Classic, yeah.
it's a classic one. But for me, the more you crank the gain, the more it kind of took a little bit away of that tone that I really wanted to keep in. You know, something like this one was just.
I've had that same problem too. The TS is great for that because it just sort of warms everything up.
Yeah.
But like I have a blues driver at home, and I found that it doesn't nullify the clarity at all, but it doesn't give you enough punch.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a breakup distortion,
Yeah.
and it's a wonderful pedal.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the ability to play all over the neck and never lose your tone.
Yeah.
It's a pretty rare combo.
Yeah, it's a pretty rare combo. And so when I looked this up and I was playing with it, I was just like, yeah, this this is it for me. So.
And then you just use the RC, the clean boost.
Yeah, and the clean booster is same kind of thing, which it just really just amplifies the sound that you already have. So if I go without it and then I just put it on,
it does. It's like
it's just, it doesn't change the tone at all or anything. It just brings out what's already there, which is really nice. So
it's awesome.
it's really, really nice.
It sounds wonderful, man.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the rig down. Tell me about you. So we first met, you were a student at Reman's, and then you took off, went to LA. Was it Musicians Institute?
Los Angeles College of Music.
Los Angeles College of Music. Catch me up from there.
Well, so I started playing around 16 years old, going on 17. And when I started taking lessons at Reman, I took from a guy, I remember Ryan Broxma,
yeah.
who was awesome. I love that man. I miss him.
We all miss Ryan.
I took lessons for him for about maybe 2 or 3 years before I left, and he was the one that had told me about music schools and actually going, and same with my band teacher at Hoover, Randy Hepker. I was at a point where I was 1.5 years into guitar, and I loved it. I knew it's what I wanted to study, but the issue was trying to figure out how I would do that going to like a normal university.
Right.
And so my thought process was, all right, well, I'll just go study like psychology and then, study music at the college too, and then maybe I'll figure something out. And Randy, my band teacher at the time, was like, I wouldn't do that. If you're just going to go, you're going to study classical and jazz, which is great, but you're not going to get what you want and what you love, which is all the contemporary stuff. And he's like, why don't you just go to a music school? And I said, what's that? I had no idea that they even existed or what was going on. So I did my own research, and I started looking, and I checked out Musicians Institute to start with, and checked out Berkeley, certain places like that. And I was like, wow, these places really, really exist.
Yeah.
And so one lesson I was talking to Ryan, and I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about going to Berkeley and doing this. And he's like, why don't you look into, at the time it was actually called the Los Angeles Music Academy. Okay. So he's like, why don't you look into that? And he said it's a smaller school. It was built by people from the Musicians Institute.
Okay.
And it might be a little bit better for you, easier to get into because they offered scholarships, whereas MI, at the time, I'm not sure if they do now or not, but at the time they didn't. So I said, okay. So I checked it out, did my due diligence, and applied, and the rest was kind of history. I got in, I got a scholarship to go, and then I was out to LA, and that was kind of the thing. It was kind of a crazy.
And did you just stay there for college, or did you actually pursue music in LA for a time before?
For a little bit, yeah. I was there for a total of about 5.5 years. So the college that I went to was a 1.5 year accelerated program.
Sure.
So what that means is, you go for about 10 or 11 weeks per term, and after every term you have a 2-week break, no matter where you are, and then you continue. So I ended up getting a quick associate's there, and that's what they offered at the time. So,
okay.
I was there for about 1.5 years, and then I stayed and actually worked at the school for maybe another 2 or 3 years or something like that. And then, just tried to learn as much as I could, from the teachers there, from other people that I had met around the area with, the fellow students that went there as well and whatnot, and just
the LA scene.
The whole LA scene for about an extra 3 years. So
okay.
Before I came back, so yeah.
And then so you come back to Des Moines. You end up teaching at Reman's, the shop you took lessons at, which is a fun transition. When I was, I haven't told this story before, when I was 15, I needed a new job, and I actually applied at Reman Music. Of course, they don't hire 15-year-olds, so it didn't work out at all. But then maybe 10 years later, I ended up teaching there, and it was sort of a full circle event. Like, oh, I applied here when I was 15. They're like, really? That must have been fun for you.
Yeah.
So you come back to Des Moines, and what happens then? You end up you're teaching at Reman's, but you're playing around town now too.
Well, yeah. So a little bit before I came back, I knew I wanted to start teaching. So that was like the main thing I wanted to get down before I even started playing. And so I ended up reaching out to Nate, who was there when I was learning as well. So
Nate Carlson, our
yeah.
guitar tech, yeah.
And said like, hey, I want to see if I can teach here. I don't know if you guys have any openings or anything. He's like, yeah, we might like just apply with our studio coordinator and whatnot. And so I did, and this was a couple months before I even moved back, and we set up an interview before I moved back. So I said, all right, awesome. And then I went into the interview, all went really well. It helped that I was there.
So you had the job lined up before you.
But I did, yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yep, but I did. So yeah, and then just kind of the rest is history. That was like 7 years ago. So I've been 7 years strong at Reman. And then as far as the gigging stuff goes, I had reconnected with Randy Hepker, and we were doing a couple projects, for a little bit before he left to go to, I think he went to Colorado. I think he's still out there. But he introduced me to some people in the scene and whatnot, and encouraged me to go out and, do these blues jams and stuff like that, just to kind of get my name out there.
Sure.
And so I did that, and met a lot of really cool people around town, and just started gigging with some people there, and then just all kind of just domino effect kind of thing happened, and then here I am. So.
And so now you have you perform as a solo artist sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Do some solo gigs.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying you play with a wedding combo too.
Mm-hmm.
But you also play with a group called the Dirty Lowdown.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
I've been joking. I always flip this in my head and say the Lowdown Dirty.
Yeah.
It's the Dirty Lowdown.
Yep, the Dirty Lowdown is a funk R&B group that's been, the guys that have been there, they've been playing together forever, and I think they had stopped playing for a while because of COVID, and then when things started to kind of die down, they said like, hey, we want to kind of add you to a different group that we're doing, and and whatnot, and it was like, okay, cool, and we play every Thursday at the Yacht Club downtown in Des Moines. Every third Thursday of the month, I should say.
Every third Thursday.
Yep.
You should go to the Yacht
month,
Club every
so.
Thursday, though, just in case it's the right one. Little shout out for the Yacht Club.
Yeah. It's like, no, we're the only band in town playing at the Yacht Club. Nobody else. But every third Thursday of the month we play there, and we just started playing with another cat from Noche. We just did a gig there, which was really cool, and we're going to be back there doing another gig with him.
At Noche?
At Noche
Nice.
in April. So that's been a really cool project to be a part of, and the players are some of the best players in town.
Who all's in that group?
So we have Michael Woods on drums, Dave Altemeyer on bass. We have Nate Sparks on keys. If you don't know Nate, you need to check Nate out. He's incredible. Antonio Garza on trumpet, Dave Bowl on saxophone, and Ray Davis is our singer, and she's awesome too. So
that's a pretty solid lineup there, and it's Seth Jamison on guitar.
So we've been at it for maybe over, I don't know, how long has it been now? Maybe over a year and a half. The time just goes so fast.
I know, especially since COVID. It's all that still feels like it's March 2020 to me.
It's just flying right now.
And suddenly my kid's like 4 years older. And really?
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but
Well, Seth, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have to wrap up the interview. It's I always end up saying these things are gonna go quick, and they never do because it's always so interesting to talk to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for being here. Would you stick around and jam out with us a little bit?
Sure, why not?
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Seth Jamison, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
thank you for tuning into the Guitar Department. I've been your host, Joe Alton. I want to thank my guest, Seth Jamison. Thanks for being here, Seth.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
How can they follow what you're doing out here on the scene, the Dirty Lowdown, and anything else you've got going on?
Facebook is definitely the best spot. I do my best to kind of post as much as I can whenever I'm playing or whenever I'm playing out or whatever I got going on. So that's definitely the spot to go and check out.
So be sure to follow the Dirty Lowdown on Facebook and head out to the Yacht Club every third Thursday to see them play. I also want to thank our camera operator, Matthew, our producer, Jackson Miller, and be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Guitar Department and Instagram at guitar_department. And with that, you ready to play us out?
Let's do it.